Hare Krishna, will start with the invocation prayers. Nana Shastra Vicharn ko Nipano Sattharma Samstapako Lokanamita Karano Tribhuvane Anyo Sarana Karano Radha Krishna Padar Vinda Bhajana Anandina Mataliko Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujago Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujago Shri Jiva Gopalako He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. So today we will discuss inquiries submitted by you all on chapters 2, 3, 4 and 5 of Nectar of Devotion. Question number 1. What's the key to staying devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead even when facing material challenges? Krishna answers this in Bhagavad Gita chapter 8 with a comparison of material and spiritual world to give us an impetus to pursue spirituality, because anything material is temporary while spirituality is always eternal. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 8.15 and 16 that entire material universe is a place of misery. And then he gives a comparison that in the spiritual world there is no misery. So let's read Bhagavad Gita 8.15 to 19 and then 20 to 22. We bring up on screen. So I have Bhagavad Gita chapter 8. Subhash Prabhu will read 15 to 19 translations. These describe that material world is a place of misery. Subhash Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Bhagavad Gita 8.15 translation. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries because they have attained the highest perfection. Verse 16. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Verse 17. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together from the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night. Verse 18. At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state, and thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again. Verse 19. Again and again, when Brahma's days arrives, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. Hare Krishna.
So 15 to 19 describe material world is a place of misery. And then 20 to 22, Krishna does a comparison that spiritual world, there is no misery. Subhash, continue, 20 to 22.
Verse 20. Yet there is another unmanifest nature, which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. Verse 21. That which the Vedantists describe as unmanifest and unfallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, That place from which having attained it, one never returns, that is my supreme abode. Verse 22. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading and everything is situated within him. Hare Krishna.
Right, so Krishna does a comparison here to give us an impetus that why we should pursue spirituality, because there is no miseries in spiritual world. And further, Kunti Maharani has taught us in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.25, very famous verse, that calamities of the material world can be used to remember Krishna more and more, because by remembering Krishna, we no longer come back to this miserable material world. And for those in the Srimad Bhagavatam class, we have also discussed in Canto 1, Chapter 8, as well as Canto 1, Chapters 17 and 18, that devotees' attitude towards miserable material world miseries is that Krishna has given me misery in small doses. Actually, I should have had bigger miseries. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Monarch Mansi?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, just a quick question on that last example, Kunti Maharani. So, is it a place of misery only for a materialistic person that Krishna is asking for, or place of misery for everyone, including devotees?
Material world is a place of misery for everyone, including devotees. It's just that the attitude of devotees towards misery is different as compared to the attitude of materialistic people. So when miseries happen, materialistic people say, why is this happening to me? What is God doing this to me? Versus devotees, specifically Kunti Maharani has taught us, as well as Dharma has taught in Canto 1, Chapter 17 and 18 that I referenced, that devotees' attitude towards misery is, oh, Krishna is so great. Krishna has given me misery in small doses. I actually have done a lot of bad things. My misery should have been very big, but Krishna is so great. Let me do devotional service to him. Monarch?
Yes, got it, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Question number 2. There are 4 kinds of effects due to sinful activities. First, the effect which is not yet fructified. Could you please explain what is it? So I have a visual on the screen in terms of the cycle of how our karma manifests. The source of our sufferings in the material world is ignorance. Ignorance leads to bijam of sinful desires, then further grows as papam or sinful action. Sinful action can be aprarabdha. Aprarabdha means unmanifest, and that just sits in our bigger karma bucket as kutam, means our sinful disposition, and this cycle just continues. And Krishna takes a small scoop of this aprarabdha karma, which is sitting in our big bucket, and gives it to us in a small cup. That becomes the prarabdha karma, means the good and the bad that we experience in the world. That's the prarabdha karma. So this is prarabdha is fructified, manifested right now, and aprarabdha means that karma which is not yet fructified. The only way to wipe off past, present, and future karma is one, by doing devotional service, and or second, by surrendering to Krishna via spiritual master. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji. Can I add one question? Like, what is that kutam means in that cycle, Prabhuji?
It's just sitting in a small form. So just as you put a seed in the ground, so there is a seed form, then it grows little, then a tiny bit of plant starts to come out, and then it grows, right? So that's how you understand that they are just sitting in unmanifested, in very small form. Swash.
Okay, Prabhuji. And one more question, like, Prabhuji, like we said, devotional service stops this cycle, right? Is that a devotional service, or we need to have like pure devotional service to stop that cycle?
Actually, it's pure devotional service that wipes off everything. But when you do devotional service, it does wipe off your karma in small chunks. So I will describe many times that devotees, when they do services at the Toronto temple, many devotees get a small cut, say in a finger. So what that was specifically when you get a cut like this in Radharani's kitchen, Srimati Radharani's kitchen. So what Srimati Radharani did was some major event, negative event that was destined. She just took care of that big negative event by just getting you a small cut. So the event is destined. You cannot undo that part, but you can replace it with a small cut and just put on a band-aid and continue doing devotional service. So the degree is different. Somebody is at pure devotional service, their karma will be wiped out 100%, versus somebody at Mishra Bhakti level at the starting stage. So the karma written off will be in proportionate to your devotion and how much services you are doing. Subhash.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Question number 3. Can devotee practice Krishna Bhakti and simultaneously indulge in material rasa of fierce nationalism? Srimad Bhagavatam says, spirituality and materiality do not mix, like oil and water do not mix. The sign of advancement in Krishna consciousness is that devotee is losing taste for material activities. So we'll read this directly from Bhagavatam. So I have on screen Srimad Bhagavatam 3.32, 34 to 36 verses. Kish Prabhu will read the translation, and then I will scroll down to paragraph number 4.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Translation. By performing fruitive activities and sacrifices, by distributing charity, by performing austerities, by studying various literatures, by conducting philosophical research, by controlling the mind, by subduing the senses, by accepting the renounced order of life, by performing the prescribed duties of one's social order, by performing the different divisions of yoga practice, by performing devotional service, by exhibiting the process of devotional service containing the symptoms of both attachment and detachment, by understanding the signs of self realization, and by developing a strong sense of detachment, one who is expert in understanding the different processes of self realization realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is represented in the material world as well as in transcendence.
So Lord Kapila is teaching all this Sankhya. And we'll read this 4th paragraph, which starts with The words dharmenabhyo chinena means Bhakti Yoga process contains two symptoms, attachment to Lord and detachment from material affinities. Read this paragraph.
The words dharmenobhaya chinena means that the Bhakti Yoga process contains two symptoms, namely attachment for the Supreme Personality, for the Supreme Lord, and detachment from all material affinities. There are two symptoms of advancement in the process of devotional service, just as there are two processes taking place while eating. A hungry man feels strength and satisfaction from eating, and at the same time, he gradually becomes detached from eating anymore. Similarly, with the execution of devotional service, real knowledge develops and one becomes detached from all material activities. In no other activity but devotional service is there such detachment from matter and attachment for the Supreme. There are 9 different processes to increase this attachment to the Supreme Lord: hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping, serving the Lord, making friendship, praying, offering everything, and serving the lotus feet of the Lord. The process for increasing detachment from material affinities are explained in verse 36.
Right, so these are the two symptoms of advancement, that you have attachment to the Lord and detachment from material. So if somebody is doing Krishna consciousness, but he still has too much material entanglement, that means his Krishna consciousness is not yet advanced. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji, if I can add a question, Krishna Bhakti should lead to detachment from material senses or like from material activities. My question is, how about if there are extenuating circumstances? For example, when India was under the British rule and we need freedom fighters, can a freedom fighter both be patriotic as well as indulge in Krishna Bhakti, or is it mutually exclusive?
Yeah, so emergency is okay. But we are talking under normal circumstances. The devotee will not be so much into material activities. The emergency, we cannot use emergency as a base for everyday work. But emergency is emergency. Tish.
Yes, Prabhuji, understood. Hare Krishna.
Question number 4. How is it possible for Prahlad Maharaj, while he was in the womb of his mother, to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam, which was read by Srila Narad Muni? Also, the same is applicable for Parikshit Maharaj. So it is not just Prahlad Maharaj or Parikshit Maharaj. Actually, all souls in the womb are able to hear. So those in the Srimad Bhagavatam class will soon hear in Canto 3, Chapter 31, the movements of soul in the womb. A live example from our other batch is Remya. So many of you know Remya. So Remya heard about Garbhadan Samskar after she was already pregnant. Therefore, Remya's only option left was to read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam every day or as much as time permits. So for about last 6 months during her pregnancy, every day Remya read Krishna book, almost every day. Some days, she would have had doctor's appointment and etc. But generally, for the last 6 months or so, every day Remya read Krishna book. She attended our Bhagavad Gita classes regularly. And at the time of delivery, while she was sitting in the hospital about to deliver, Ramya was hearing my spiritual master, His Grace Vaisheshikadas Adhikari's live Srimad Bhagavatam lecture over a phone call. It was just coincidental that at that time, on that particular day, my spiritual master was in Toronto, just when Ramya was delivering a son. The result is Ramya's son has attraction to Krishna consciousness and is involved in Krishna conscious activities from a very young age. He still is about 5 years of age, but he is doing Krishna conscious activities from day one. So it's a live example, right? Prahlad Maharaj and Parikshit Maharaj are way past in the future. You have it live here from our classes. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Question number 5. What is the biggest challenge for a person faces while acting as the gardener of their own devotional seed, Bhakti Lata Bij? We'll soon read. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.17 describes woman and wealth are very difficult problems for a devotee making progress on the path back to Godhead. So when it says woman, it means opposite sex, right? So for male, it's the attraction to woman, and for woman, it's attraction to male. So it's both ways. And the solution is provided in the next verse, Bhagavatam 1.2.18, that serving an association of both or either of the book Bhagavata or the devotee Bhagavata are competent remedies to eliminate the obstacles, the inauspicious things within the heart. So both these 1.2.17 and 1.2.18 are key verses to recite in Sanskrit. So I have 1.2.17. We will read the Sanskrit, then the translation, and then I will fast forward to paragraph number 3 and 4. Follow me. You want to recite the Sanskrit and then the translation, or you want me to recite first for you?
Prabhuji, is it possible to recite first?
Yeah. So 1.2.17 Shranvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravanam Kirtana Hridaya Antosto Hidi Abhadrani Vidunoti Shruvat Satam. Follow me.
Yes, Prabhu. SB 1.2.17 Shranvatam Svakatha Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtana Hridiyantastho Hi Abhadrani Vidhunoti Sruta Shatam.
Very good. Translation.
Translation: Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his message, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Hare Krishna.
We'll read paragraph number 3 and 4.
3 and 4. One cannot enter into the kingdom of God unless one is perfectly cleared of all sins. The material sins are products of our desires to lord it over material nature. it is very difficult to get rid of such desires. Women and wealth are very difficult problems for the devotee making progress on the path back to Godhead. Many stalwarts in the devotional line fell victim to these allurements and thus retreated from the path of liberation. But when one is helped by the Lord Himself, the whole process becomes easy as anything by the divine grace of the Lord. To become restless in the contact of women and wealth is not an astonishment, because every living being is associated with such things from remote time, practically immemorial, and it takes time to recover from this foreign nature. But if one is engaged in hearing the glories of the Lord, gradually he realizes his real position. By the grace of God, such a devotee gets sufficient strength to defend himself from the state of disturbances, and gradually all disturbing elements are eliminated from his mind. Hare.
Very good. So women and wealth are the problems. And although solution is described here, the next verse, also a key memorization verse, in the purport Prabhupada, in the very first line says, now here's a solution. So, Raksha, are you able to recite Sanskrit and the translation, or you want me to recite first?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Can you recite?
Yeah, 1.2.18, very well known, famous verse. Nasta praveshu abhatreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttam shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki.
Nasta prayesha abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavate uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki.
Very good. Translation and purport paragraph number 1.
Yes, Prabhuji. Translation: by regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Purport: here is the remedy for eliminating all inauspicious things within the heart which are considered to be obstacles in the path of self-realization. The remedy is the association of the Bhagavatas. There are two types of Bhagavatas, namely the book Bhagavata and the devotee Bhagavata. Both the Bhagavatas are competent remedies, and both of them are, or either of them can be good enough to eliminate the obstacles. A devotee Bhagavata is as good as the book Bhagavata because the devotee Bhagavata leads his life in terms of the book Bhagavata, and the book Bhagavata is full of information about the personality of Godhead and his pure devotees, who are also Bhagavatas. Bhagavata book and person are identical.
Very good.
Hare Krishna.
So, woman and wealth are two problems. Solution is regular attendance in Bhagavatam class. And the third is getting hung up on doubts is also a challenge. The solution again is hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So the verses for this third challenge of doubt will come up in the next question, and we'll read it together as part of the answer to the next question, number 6. Does that answer this question right now? All right, thank you. So we'll continue the discussion in next question, number 6. Question 6 says, how one may attain a little bit of attraction for Sri Krishna in the material world. So Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.16 explains, by serving pure devotees, one develops the attraction to hear Krishna Katha. And for those from the Srimad Bhagavatam class, we have discussed Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.12 to 22. The title is Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is the process for achieving pure devotion to Krishna. So these verses, Bhagavatam 1.2.12 to 22, we'll soon read. These provide step-by-step process to develop pure devotion to Krishna. So we did read 1.2.17 and 18, and now I'll bring up all the verses on screen and we will read the whole process. Monarch will read the translations. I have Bhagavatam 1.2.12 to 22. Some of them are key memorization verse. Like 16 is a key memorization verse. We'll try to recite that also.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, from 12, right?
Yeah, 12 to 22.
Okay. Sure. Text 12. The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. Text 13. O best among the twice born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed for one's own occupation according to caste divisions and order of life is to please the personality of Godhead. Text 14. Therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotees. Text 15. With sword in hand, intelligent man cut through the binding notes of reactionary work karma by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to his message?
So 16 is a key memorization words. I will recite and then Monarch can try. 1.2.16 Shushusho Shraddhanasya Vasudeve Katharuchi Swayat Mahatsevaya Vipraha Punya Tirtha Nishvenath. Right, you want to try?
Okay, sure. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.16. Shushusho Shraddha Nasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchi Tyan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanath.
Very good. Translation.
Translation. O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity by for hearing the messages of Vasudev.
Right. So the question about how to develop attraction, 1.2.16 is essentially the answer that by serving pure devotees, you develop the affinity to hearing the message of Vasudeva. The 12 to 22 gives you the whole step-by-step process. You can continue, Monarch, 17 to 22.
Yeah, sure. Text 17. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Text 18. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Text 19. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in the goodness and he becomes completely happy. Text 22. Thus established in the mood of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord, gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Text 21. Thus, the note in the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive action is terminated when one sees the self as master. Text 22. Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self. Hare Krishna.
Very good. So the step-by-step process are given about that. You start with devotee association, you hear. So if you follow from 16 onwards, base is set. If the 13 says, do your varnashram activities to please the Lord and have one-pointed attention. So 16 is sadhu sangha. So what Prabhupada is explaining in all these verses is that Prabhupada is showing shrunu means hearing, how hearing leads to asamsaya, means doubts completely purified. So in the previous question I said about the doubts, the verses are here simultaneously answering both questions. So 1.2.16 starts with sadhu sangha and service to devotees. Then you hear to get purified, and the Lord gets situated in the heart, and the Lord cleanses. Then 1.2.18, by regular Bhagavatam, most of the anarthas are almost destroyed. Then by 19 says, by practice of bhakti, the lower modes of passion and ignorance go away. Then 20 says, by practicing devotional service, our mind becomes pleasant. The 21 say that all attachments in the heart get cut off when one is enlivened by Krishna's knowledge. And this is how the step-by-step process that material attachments are being destroyed. One of the verses says the knot in the heart is pierced, and simultaneously attachment to Krishna manifests in the heart. Does that answer both the questions 5 and 6 with references? Pratyush.
Prabhuji, in Bhagavad Gita, we learned that we could also do pure devotional service as grihastha. But in this context, where women and wealth are the two main challenges, and the more we get enlightened, the more we lose attachment from ignorance and from passion, everything. So the optimal way for liberation should be to not get entangled in this at all, or to get involved but not get entangled. Like, what is the best way?
The best way is to not get entangled. So Grahastha ashram is the safest ashram for advancing on the path of spirituality. We'll soon, for those in Bhagavatam class, they've already heard in Canto 1, Chapter 2, not Canto 1, sorry, Canto 2 at the start. There are a few chapters describing, Canto 2 describes Grahamedi and Grahastha. That Grahamedi are people who are attached to self, to family, and everything material. Grahastha, on the other hand, is married. On the surface, looks identical, but the Grahastha is focused on spirituality. He's not attached, even though he's married. So we have actually discussed the same point in Bhagavad Gita 3.25. Very, very important verse. And Prabhupada also has a very important about 12-minute or 13-minute short lecture titled Plan Making for More Suffering. So 3.25 Bhagavad Gita I have on the screen, which basically focuses on two words, Sakta and Asakta, and Vidwan and Avidwan. So you can see here, Sakta and Avidwan here, and then the Vidwan and Asakta. So Grahastha, who is a Krishna conscious devotee, he is not attached and he is intelligent. Versus Karmakandiya or materialistic people, they are attached and they are less intelligent. So anybody interested to revisit Srila Prabhupada's super excellent lecture on Bhagavad Gita 3.25 can send me an offline message to get that. It's only 12-13 minutes, but Prabhupada is bang to the point. That plan making for more suffering. That's the title of the lecture. Deepa, you want to read Bhagavad Gita 3.25 translation?
Sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. As the ignorant performs their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment for the sake of leading people on the right path. Hare Krishna.
Very good. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are example in Canto 4 for Priyavrata. So Priyavrata is Paramhamsa, completely renounced. And his father, Swayambhuva Manu, asks him to get married and take up the responsibility of becoming a king. And Priyavrata says, no, I'm renounced. Why would I get entangled? And then Brahmaji also comes to convince Priyavrata. And Brahmaji says, you are Paramhamsa. So even though you will get married by my mercy, Brahmaji gives him mercy also, he said you will not get entangled. And in Canto 5, Chapter 5, very important lecture, instructions of Lord Rishabdev. Prabhupada has many lectures on this particular chapter. Many means a lot, many lectures, and many of them are, almost all of them are very, very important lectures. One of the lecture, among my favorite lectures from Canto 5, Chapter 5, is titled, How to Find a Grahastha Sannyasi. Now, on the surface, Grahastha and Sannyasi are opposite ashrams. So how can a Grahastha be a Sannyasi? And Prabhupada explains the same point about the Grahastha who is focused on Krishna consciousness and not attached to wife, children, all the opulences. He's a sannyasi. And there are live examples for this. For example, I have given many times this example for our dear Dwarkanath from the Toronto temple. So he used to live in the temple with the orange dress as a brahmachari. Then he changed it to ashram. He said, now I want to get married. So he's now married. His wife is also initiated, but he's not entangled. You see, he's continuing to do the same services that he was doing while he was brahmachari. There's no difference. Why? Because during brahmachari life, he is educated on the path of spirituality. That even though now he is married, it doesn't matter. He is not entangled. Pratyush, everybody, does that answer?
Yes, Prabhuji, understood. Hare Krishna.
Question number 7. How devotional service is Krishna's internal potency? So it is not a question of how. Rather, this is a fact that devotional service is under the direction of Srimati Radharani, under the control of internal potency. Question number 8. Following Srila Prabhupada's lecture regarding the senses as our enemies, could you please clarify the relationship between the senses and the mind? So Krishna explains this in Bhagavad Gita 15.7 and 15.8. We'll soon recite and read. So mind is the chief of senses. Mind is like the palm in your hand, and the fingers on the hand are like the senses. All activities of the senses pass through the mind. So we are struggling in the material world because material world is a place of misery, plus because of uncontrolled mind and senses. So I'll bring up 15.7. Path Prabhu can try to recite and read the translation. If you want me to recite first, let me know.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, can you please read first?
Yeah, so 15.7 Bhagavad Gita. Mama eva amsha jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana. Mana shashastani indriyani prakriti stani karsati.
Hare Krishna, Bhagavad Gita 15.7. Mam aiva amsha jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana mana sasthandriyani parakriti stani karsati. Should I read the translation also?
Yeah.
Translation. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which include the mind.
Right. So
In the sorry,
the mind and the senses, they are our problems because of which we are struggling. Karsati. And Path Prabhu, you can read 15.8 translation. So 15.8 explains how we get our set of senses in the particular body, and in the next life, how we'll get a new set of senses. Translation.
15.8 translation. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another.
Right. So in our current life, the way we use our mind and senses, we create impressions, and the mind carries those impressions in the next life, just as air carries aroma of the garden or the filthy place over which the air is blowing. Does that answer the inquiry? All right, question number 8. There are several instances in India where certain people have tried to exploit the basic necessities of human for survival, shelter, and food for religious conversations. How can a pure devotee preach and influence people to accept Krishna consciousness when they are unsure of when or how their next meal will be coming? Please explain. So 2 points. Sri Ishopanishad invocation mantra states that there is no shortage in the material world. Krishna has created material world perfect for survival, everyone to get what they need according to an assigned quota. So For their survival, whatever they need is already there in the material world, according to a quota. And the second point is that we do not need to be hard-hearted in the name of preaching. If someone is suffering so much, this is not the time to preach. We have discussed this in our karma lecture, that do not run a truckload of philosophy on a suffering person. The truckload of philosophy will injure the person even more, and the person will go farther away from Krishna instead of coming closer to Krishna. So during our karma lecture in chapter 4, verse 16, 17, 18, we have also discussed the example that this is an actual example that there was some natural calamity in India, in a village, and some preachers, they went and chastised these suffering villagers that this suffering is due to their own bad karma. Hore Baba, don't do that. The next day, some Christian missionary group came and provided basic necessities such as food, shelter, blanket, etc. And the result was more than 90% of these villagers, they converted to Christianity. So we have to preach according to time, place, and circumstances, and not to be hard-hearted, although everything is provided for in the material world. It is the greed of humans that causes scarcity. So I'll bring up Ishopanishad verse, invocation, very beautiful verse to recite. Padma Kumar Prabhu, you want to recite and read the translation, or if you want, I can recite Sanskrit first.
Om Purnam Pada Purnam Idam Purnat Purnam Dhyachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Iva Vashyate.
Very good. Translation.
The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as the phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. And because he is complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance.
Right. The verse is basically focusing on complete and perfect so many times that the material world is perfect. It's just that the greed and people's misconceptions of thinking the world is for my enjoyment, well, then you will have a challenge. The world is perfect as prison house and is perfect as hospital for reformation of the souls. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji, just one more clarification is it said that all emanations from him are perfect or complete. My question is, I mean, with so much of disparity and global poverty, how do we like measure if a child born to, for example, like a slum in Mumbai is the same provided for than a child born to a millionaire's house.
Yeah, so it's the quota, right? Everyone has been provided a particular quota based on their karma. And this is also described at great length in Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada says, what you just described, Pratyush Prabhu, actually is there in one of the Bhagavatam purports in Canto 3. Prabhupada says that how do you understand that in the same hospital at the same time, one person is born to a very poor family, has hard time to meet basic ends, versus at the same hospital at the same time another person would be born, say, into a little bit reasonable family, or say a next door hospital, or even the hospital may have a next room for a first class some businessman. A child is born, he is in a rich family. How do you understand? This is all based on karma, right? So based on karma, everyone has a quota, and that is provided for. So you cannot compare one person's quota versus other, saying, well, why is that person suffering? Well, his karma is for suffering. Although we don't use karma for others, the fact is that somebody is born poor is because of his set of karmas, where somebody is born rich is because of his set of karmas. Pratyush.
Yes, Prabhuji, understood. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, a little louder. Your voice is very soft.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Is it audible?
Yeah, go ahead.
Prabhuji, my queries is that before actually doing the preaching, we have to make some base work. Is it not like that? Because we have to prepare the our targeted people to listen before meeting their basic needs. Is it like that?
So you don't have to do that pre-work. You can judge right there. And when you do the preaching work, or you come for book distribution with one of the book distributors, we definitely have Monarch and Mansi Prabhu's stalwart book distributors standing at the book table every Sunday. Others are also preachers. So you will be able to judge. Sometime when I go on book distribution, you can come with me to see that some people walking around, we just give them prasad because we see that they are not ripe mangoes. Versus somebody, you will be able to judge that so and so person is quite ripe and would be more interested in discussing spiritual subject matters. So you can spend more time with them. So they are like the ripe yellow mangoes ready for next step. Patram.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, understood. Thank you.
Very good. Question number 9. In chapter 4, the fifth stage of liberation is to have constant association with the Lord, and devotees are not much interested in this type of liberation too. Is it different from the constant devotional service to the Lord? Can you please help me in understanding this? So you are correct. Constantly engaged in devotional service is not sahajya, mentality of wanting to be one with the Lord. Question number 10. It's a two-part question. Is it possible for anyone to render pure devotional service without being properly initiated by a bona fide spiritual master. So you will hear in Nectar of Devotion chapters 17 and 18 on Bhava Bhakti, you will hear the discussion that there are two ways to reach Bhava Bhakti level. One is by Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti and or Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. And the second is by special mercy of Krishna or Krishna's devotee. So in that discussion, Srila Prabhupada describes that achieving Bhava Bhakti by mercy alone is not common. One who expects to achieve Bhava Bhakti level by mercy alone is like one who expects to complete college not by studying hard, rather by getting an honorary degree. So it is possible to be at Bhava Bhakti level by mercy alone, but it is very, very rare. So Srila Prabhupada's instruction is to not wait for mercy alone. Rather, endeavor on Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti and or Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. And of course, you will anyway need mercy. The mercy will come, but you first endeavor. Does that answer the first part before I go to the next one?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, we couldn't hear. What did you say, Prabhu? Prabhu, repeat.
Yes, Prabhuji, understood.
All right. Now, the second question, everyone should have undivided attention. You have an action item for all of you. Second part says, if initiation is absolutely mandatory, can you please guide the process of taking initiation? So yes, approaching a bona fide spiritual master is absolutely necessary. The chapter 6 lecture that you will listen to after today's discussion, chapter 6 of Nectar of Devotion has 64 items of devotional service to keep body, mind, and soul occupied in Krishna conscious activities 24 hours. The first 5 items of the 64 items are on spiritual master and getting initiated. So for getting initiated, step 1 is to get a spiritual mentor from your local temple. Spiritual mentor will help select the spiritual master and guide on becoming steady in chanting, reading, and doing devotional services. When mentor sees your readiness, the mentor will inform the temple and the spiritual master. The spiritual master then connects with the disciple and grants shelter. Then spiritual master guides and monitors the progress of the disciple. When the spiritual master sees the disciple is ready for initiation, spiritual master will initiate. So spiritual master will chant on the japa beads that the spiritual master will give it to the disciple, and the spiritual master will also give a spiritual name to the disciple. So initiation is second birth, or you can say birth of the soul. Therefore, you get the spiritual name. So the action item for all of you, I request 100% of you virtually present, as well as those who will listen to this recording, to please have an offline discussion with me within the next 2 to 4 days. If you are chanting 16 rounds of japa every day, that is super excellent. Even if you are not chanting 16 rounds, you can still approach a bona fide spiritual master right now. I will give you my own example that I used to chant 16 rounds of japa for many, many years without initiation. And then material world misery, one after the other, overwhelmed me so much that I could not complete my japa every day. So you have seen, many of you have seen the sadhana card tracker. So I used to track all the japa I used to miss, and that just kept growing and growing and growing and growing because I used to miss every single day. Up to the point that my japa from 16 rounds became 0 rounds. Yes, my japa became 0 rounds. The day my japa became 0 rounds, that the day I took shelter of my spiritual master. Because I realized that I cannot do this by myself. I need help. So whether or not you are ready to approach a spiritual master does not matter. Have an offline conversation with me in the next 2 to 4 days. Whether or not you have had prior discussion with me on this topic does not matter. 100% of you, please have an offline conversation with me in the next 2 to 4 days. Even if you are not ready for initiation, does not matter. Approach a bona fide spiritual master to take the spiritual master as your Siksha Guru so that the spiritual master can guide you. Does that answer everything about initiation?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes.
All right. So there's a question posted in the chat which says, let me read. For a Brahmana specifically, it is said that once he wears the janau, he takes second birth. So is initiation another phase of this second birth of a Brahmana, or is it something different? So initiation, there are 3 steps. So first I described about getting a mentor. Then you take shelter of a spiritual master. And then when spiritual master is ready to give you initiation, there are 3 steps. First step is first initiation. So I have taken first initiation, which is known as Harinam initiation, that the spiritual master gives me Hare Krishna Mahamantra, gives me the bead, gives me a new name, which is now Ram Vilas Das, and I chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This is first initiation. Then when the spiritual master sees, okay, you are now ready for second initiation, so he will then give me second initiation. The second initiation, the additional part is, the second initiated devotee continues to chant 16 rounds of japa. On top of that, he now has to chant the Gayatri mantra 3 times a day. Plus, he now has a janoi, so now the second initiated devotee is a Brahmana. The second initiated devotees can do services such as the pujari services. First initiated devotee cannot do. So I cannot do pujari service specifically for second initiated devotees who are eligible to do pujari services. And then comes the next level, which is the sannyas level. So when somebody takes sannyas, they also go through this similar process where they then get the sannyas designation. Does that answer the inquiry, Pratyush?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Everybody on the same page? Everybody will do their action items of having an offline conversation with me? 100%. Now I get silence.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So many of you are still silent.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Question number 11. The individual soul and the super soul are qualitatively one, and therefore both of them are known as Brahman or spirit. Can you please elaborate on this? So the word Brahman, you have to understand according to the context. Brahman can be spiritual also. We also know Brahman as Brahman effulgence. So you have to read and understand according to the context. So super soul and individual soul are spiritual, therefore both are called Brahman. With the understanding that super soul and individual soul are one in quality, but not the same in quantity. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Last question for today. If pure devotees reject even liberation because it interrupts hearing and chanting Krishna's glories, what does this reveal about the real nature of happiness? And how does it challenge our own assumptions about what we think will make us happy? So during our Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 discussion, you all had completed a spiritual endeavor question. The question was, between happiness and distress, what will you prefer? So we have discussed that there is no such thing as happiness in the material world. We read Bhagavad Gita 8.15 and 16, that entire material universe is a place of misery. From the topmost Brahmaloka to heaven, to earth, to hell, everything is a place of misery. What we call as happiness in the material world is cessation of misery. And Srila Prabhupada says, cessation of misery cannot be happiness. It is not happiness. Real happiness is in spiritual world, and real happiness is in devotional service. So Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.6 is the answer to the question of the sages of Naimisharanya. The question from Canto 1, Chapter 1 of the sages was, what is the essence of all scriptures? And the answer is 1.2.6, that the essence of all scriptures is to do devotional service. So obviously 1.2.6 is a key memorization verse. We'll let Mansi recite and read the translation and paragraph number 1. Mansi, if you want me to recite first, you let me know.
Yes, Prabhuji, you recite first and then I'll repeat.
Okay, so 1.2.6. Savai pumsa paro dharma yato bhakti radhokshaje ahetuki apratahita yayatma suprasiddhati.
Hare Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.6. Save punsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje ahetukya apratihata yayatma shru prasiddhati.
Very good. Translation and paragraph number 1.
Translation: the supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which man can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Purport. In this statement, Srila Sruta Goswami answers the first question of the sages of Naimisharanya. the sages asked him to summarize the whole range of revealed scriptures and present the most essential part so that fallen people or the people in general might easily take it up. The Vedas prescribe two different types of occupation for human being. One is called pravritti marga or other path or the path of sense enjoyment, and other is called the nivritti marga or the path of renunciation. The path of enjoyment is inferior, and the path of sacrifice for the supreme cause is superior. The material existence of the living being is a deceased condition of actual life. Actual life is spiritual existence or the Brahmabhuta existence, where life is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. Material existence is temporary, illusionary, and full of miseries. There is no happiness at all. There is just the futile attempts to get rid of the miseries, and temporary cessation of the misery is falsely called happiness. Therefore, the path of progressive material enjoyment, which is temporary, miserable, and illusionary, is inferior. But devotional service to the Supreme Lord, which leads one to eternal, blissful, and all cognizant life, is called the superior quality of occupation. This is sometimes polluted when mixed with the inferior quality. For example, adoption of devotional service for material gain is certainly an obstruction to the progressive path of renunciation. Renunciation of or abnegation for ultimate good is certainly a better occupation than enjoyment in the deceased condition life. Such enjoyment only aggravates the symptoms of disease and increase its duration. Therefore, devotional service to the Lord must be pure in quality, that is, without the least desire for material enjoyment. One should therefore accept the superior quality of occupation in the form of devotional service of the Lord without any tinge of unnecessary desire, fruitive action, and philosophical speculation. This alone can lead one to perpetual solace in his service. Hare Krishna.
Right, so there is no happiness at all. Temporary cessation of misery is what people call as happiness. This is not happiness. Prabhupada explains. Devotional service is blissful and the superior occupation. I may not have experienced the bliss in devotional service, but Bhagavatam states devotional service is superior and blissful. Does that answer the inquiry? All right. Thank you. So I will send the next recording for chapter 6 and 7, as well as Prabhupada lecture and Google Form link. Any questions, comments, realizations before we stop for the day? Everybody has action item to connect with me. One or two of you still stayed silent. I don't know what that means. Even if you are silent, does not matter. You still have to connect with me. All right, we'll stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.